Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Much love to the fam. We up in this thing, Sports Coma representing. Monday, we're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft, man. What are we, a couple of weeks now from it? Yeah, about 2 weeks or so from the draft. So, man, listen, we're getting closer and closer. And I'm getting about tired of hearing all these mock drafts. And yeah, we in the thick of the mock draft season. So shout out to the Pelicans. Shout out to all the other stuff that's in between to help us deal with all this mock drafting. But anyway, to add to it, I got another one for you, another Saints mock draft to be released. And we're going to cover it today on the stream. Now, of course, y'all please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed, man. We up in this thing. Sports Coma representing Big Q in the building. So anyway, we're going to delve into it, fam. And let me start it off by kind of addressing the Saints depth chart, which is currently on screen, as you can see. Hold on. You can't see. There you go. All right. So there we go. The Saints mock draft will basically be around, the depth chart as we look at the depth chart. And I think the consensus is, and we did a poll on this, the last stream about what would be the more pressing need for the Saints in terms of personnel, so the Saints did sign a few people. We had a quick stream. We talked about that, an update stream a couple of days ago about the signings of Kelly Mond, the former Texas A&M quarterback, and the wide receiver, St. Brown, who will come in and provide depth, which a lot of people weren't too enthused about it. They also signed a defensive back to add to the secondary, and none of these, even though none of these names move the, I guess you could say the mentality or the mindset of the family members who really don't know too much about these guys. These are mostly depth pieces and bring more competition to the Saints quarterback room behind Derek Carr. So you do have several quarterbacks, Nathan Peterman, who's 6 years in the game. He's the veteran of it. And then you have guys like Jake Haener, like a lot of people believe Jake Haener has a chance. And then there's, Kelly Mond, obviously, who comes in. So it just be a competition thing to see who will kind of push Peterman for that. Perhaps maybe Haener can challenge him. So we'll see how it all goes, because remember, everything changes in terms of the Saints, because what we see is all of this stuff, family, all of this stuff around the quarterback situation, dealing with the Saints team. Everybody has to learn an entire new system. So that is something that we have to be able to keep track of too. A brand new system, everybody on the offense. So that's going to be interesting to see how fast who picks up on it. We know certain people have some experience with it, but this is going to be all new. This is the first time in a long time that we had a new offense installed since Sean Payton's 20-year system we had here. Really amazing how this all worked out. But anyway, let's get into it, family. As you can see, I think the biggest factor in my mind, and I'm drafting based on the needs that we perceived here on the Sports Coma, talking to the family members about where they think that we should go in the draft. And obviously, I think the center point is the offensive line. I think the offensive line has a lot of question marks at both tackle positions. We talked about this, Trevor Penning not having a lot of experience there. The right tackle position with Ryan Ramczyk dealing with his injury issue with his knee, looking kind of shaky. The depth right now currently behind those tackle positions are kind of shaky. Ali Udo was signed as the only veteran offensive lineman that we've seen coming in here. Perhaps he is the left tackle. This unofficial depth chart has Ali Udo as a potential left tackle, and we know this is unofficial, but we'll see exactly how this goes. If Ali Udo is indeed a guy that they perceive, just saying, if it's, we have to kind of look at all things, but if Ali Udo is a guy that the Saints perceive as a left tackle, then we might have just solved one of the left tackle needs in the Saints mindset. The right tackle position sits Landon Young, and could possibly Trevor Penning be the opposite guy. I often said for a while, as y'all know, about Trevor Penning, I don't think he should have been a left tackle. I've been saying that he should have been tried at the right tackle position, because Ram's knee issue is he needs major surgery. He had minor surgery. It's no surprise why he's struggling to get rehabbed. But anyway, the offensive line, both to tackle positions and some interior positions, could use an infusion of talent right there. The wide receiver position, not going in priority wise, but the wide receiver position just added a lot of new guys to the wide receiver position. You guys know about that. The interior defensive line for the Saints could use somebody to replace Malcolm Roach as well. We could always use an extra linebacker or two and some help in the secondary. So anyway, without further ado, fam, let me kind of get into my latest mock right here for you guys, so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about for this latest installment of my mock. And let's just get right into it. Now, this is my mock right here, and this is what I got for you guys. Now, remember, Tulise Fuaga is the 14th overall pick that fell to me in this current mock draft that I picked up on. He was the 14th overall selection, followed by the 45th pick, which was Xavier Legette from South Carolina, who fell for me. And I picked up these guys because I know I wanted to have a really menacing tackle who plays the blindside tackle position. And Fuaga is if they're looking at Ali Udo as the potential left tackle, then Fuaga could possibly be the new right tackle there, or perhaps the ideal scenario that you're looking for, if Tulise Fuaga could be the guy at the left tackle position, because I would take him there. He's one of the 4 or 5 top tackles in the draft. And if he falls to you at 14, you take him. He feels a big need at the left tackle position. Ryan Ramczyk dealing with a shaky knee. Perhaps you want to try Trevor Penning there because he's a first-round draft pick. You can't get rid of him yet. Let's see what new offensive line coach Benton does with him there. And then Ali Udo shifts to his natural position, which is the guard position, which would be the left guard position. So you would also, that right there fits in terms, and this is just what I'm looking at here, and you guys fill in the comment section in the chat and let me know how you guys feel about it. And also for my people that's watching by way of Twitter, please feel free to give this a retweet if you don't mind. And then, of course, Xavier Legette at 45, the fantastic South Carolina wide receiver. I'm going to get to each one of these breakdowns about these guys, adding him to the wide receiver room. He has speed. And remember, this is a kick returner who was very productive for the South Carolina Gamecocks. He has size, about 6'1.5", 220 pounds, really tough to bring down. I add him with his speed. He has the speed and the size that you would look for as a complement to a guy like a Chris Olave. He brings there. And then, of course, you can see pick 121 right there's like, where did the hell did that come from? Well, that pick came as a result of a trade that I made. I made a trade where I took I wanted to move up in the draft. So I took the 170th pick and the 4th pick from last year to move up bunch of selections, right? And to get that pick. So I gave up actually pick 168, actually 3 picks, the 168, 170, and a pick from in 2025 to move up to 121 so I can have that selection. And I use that on Brandon Coleman. And Coleman is a tackle that factors to be a guard at the next level. Very solid football player, adds another young interior offensive lineman to further help out the Saints in the interior. And then we go to Johnny Dixon, really good, solid cornerback, because we know that with Isaac Yiadom going, and we got Laddie Daddy coming off of injury, Paulson Adebo and Alante Taylor, really, Adebo was solid. Alante kind of bouncing back, and we need to have some good youth there. And having a guy like Johnny Dixon, good size for him, very productive player from Penn State there. My next pick would then be 25 selections later with Christian Boyd. Saints actually scouted this man, Christian Boyd from Northern Iowa, solid interior player. He's the kind of guy that you want to plug in the interior Saints defensive line to help them out. Then with 190, I went Sion Vaki, which is a safety from Utah, very productive. Remember, with the older safeties we had, you're going to have to start looking at safeties. And this draft is a safety-heavy draft with a lot of quality safeties in it. Pick 199, 9 picks later, Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker from Ohio State. You know we always got to get an Ohio State guy, but Eichenberg is a really solid linebacker that will provide depth and then special teams play. Really solid linebacker, keeps the Ohio State thing going with them. And then the last pick for us was Josh Cephas from UTSA. And listen, Josh, solid wide receiver, very productive, could add a great deal. So as you see, this is a 2 wide receiver draft, just adding young talent to the wide receiver core. So anyway, that's my picks. Let's kind of delve into it to some of these people. We talk about guys like, and let's personalize ourselves with Talise Fuaga. Now, when you talk about the offensive tackles in this draft, it's so many really good ones. John Alt, Fashanu from Penn State, Talise Fuaga from Oregon State, Guyton, Tyler Guyton. It's a ton of them, man. There's so many of them. I can't even call all of these guys, but there are a lot of really solid offensive linemen that's in this draft that the Saints could get that will fall to them, because a lot of people's looking at it and saying that the New Orleans Saints will get an opportunity at a very good player, because a lot of quarterbacks are kind of predicted to go in the top 10 picks. At least 4 quarterbacks. Some say 5, some say 4. I say 4 at the top. We'll see where Dixon and guys like Michael Penix Jr. goes. But these are the type of players that will fall to you. And if Talise Fuaga falls to you, and in this current mock draft, my favorite player was one of my favorite players was Fashanu, and he wasn't available. He was drafted 2 picks before this one, and Talise Fuaga fell to me here, and I was like, yeah, this is a good selection. Now, what he does is, like I talked about, this guy comes in and he can really help you, kind of a big, physical, nasty tackle that does really well. Now, Fashanu, I liked him because he's athletic, and so is Joe Alt, but we don't have a chance with none of these guys. I don't think we'll be able to get him. He's 5'13" and a 40-yard dash. You can see some images right there of the big guy moving around doing, the lateral drills or whatnot. And you can see his bio, 4 games as a reserve in 20, but the really games he did was in 2022, all Pac-12 conference. He started all games at the right tackle position, 13 games. And then in 2023, he went and he became a first-team all Pac-12 conference player, did a lot of positive things for him. And he did a lot of other stuff too, but mostly a right tackle position. Does he translate to a left tackle position when you talk about Talise Fuaga? And like I said, a lot of people like to consider him like a dancing bear, but I think he's a solid prospect. And I think he has a very solid temperament, but he's a big guy that is pretty fun. He's pretty fond of his fundamentals, really good fundamental player, moves his feet well, very strong, plays, his pad level is is okay. He plays, but some people say it's a little high. But he's a guy that is a hell of a run blocker. He moves his feet well for up in pass protection as well. And he's a guy that just will maul people out of there. He's a guy that will just maul people out, and he'll be a solid selection for you as well. And like I said, sometimes they give his strengths. I ain't gonna go into too many of the strengths and weaknesses, but when you talk about a guy like Luis Fuaga, and if you can land him, you got a 5 to 10 year starter on your hands, and he's he's durable too, and a lot of people anticipate him coming here. So if the Saints take a guy like Luis Fuaga, 6'6", 330 pounds, and put him on the offensive line, let's give him a shot. And of course, a lot of people are going to say, Q, why not go after the veterans at this point? There's not too many other veterans that you're going to secure this at this late date unless somebody gets cut or the Saints implement a trade to bring a veteran in, and probably they won't be able to afford that. So they're going to look at the cheaper route to do because of the restraints they have to deal with this year and next year. So the draft is imperative to filling these needs because it's the cheapest way to go in terms of getting good value at what you're going to pay these guys and the ceiling in terms of them growing into something good. So to protect Derek Carr's blind side, I would have to nominate our 14th pick this year will be Luis Fuaga from Oregon State. All right. And then on to the 45th pick for the New Orleans Saints is this gentleman, Xavier Legette. Now, 6'1", some say 6'1.5", 220 plus pounds, is a solid wide receiver. This past year for South Carolina, he lit things up. He ran a 4.39 in the combine. He's a guy that, if you can see right here, makes difficult catches, and once he gets ahead of you, it's over with. But the thing about Xavier Legette is this: very limited production in terms of what he did this year. Like, this was the year in terms of what Xavier Legette did. Prior to that, he wasn't very active in terms of being a wide receiver. He's mostly a kick returner for the South Carolina Gamecocks. But as you can see, they had him listed as 6'1". They have him listed here as 6'3". I'm trying to say he falls somewhere in between. So you're looking at maybe 6'2", 6.5", 6'2", and it's different degrees here. The combine says 6'1". Some people say he's more 6'2" than 6'1", but regardless, 220 to 230 pounds, heavy wide receiver, strong with speed, 4.39 speed. If you look at his statistics here, and you got to overlook that, that's one of the only knocks here. You got to work on his route running a little bit. He's not bad, but he has to work on that. Most young wide receivers have to work on that. But look at his production in 1 year: 71 catches, over 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 17.7 average and per catch, almost 18 yards per catch. Xavier Legette is a home run hitter for you. What's up with all these sevens, right? 7, 7, 7, 7, all over the place. But what's really interesting is how this guy plays football. I think he's very talented, could help the black. One thing I would say about Xavier Legette in terms of what he brings to your squad is the fact that he's a home run hitter. He's a guy that's physical, but he has 1 year of production. You know, he's, like I said, mostly special teams, but when given the opportunity to be a guy that kind of helped out there, he is a home run hitter for you. So I like Xavier. All right, on to the next player at pick 121. Remember the pick where I traded up. I wanted to get up into as close as I could back into the 4th round package, and a couple of these 5th round picks to try to move as much as higher as I could get. And I could have sacrificed a little bit more, but I just didn't want to lose a certain amount of picks based on the behaviors of how the Saints operate. And so I moved up and traded multiple picks to get the 121 pick, and I take Brandon Coleman out of TCU. He was the guy that I thought that could definitely help with what we had going on interiorly speaking. I think he would be a fantastic player for the black and gold. Next pick, Brandon Coleman, big offensive lineman from TCU. Now listen, I love this pick, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of our inside talent, we have some guys, but we do have a lot of question marks in terms of our offensive guards. If you kind of look at our look at what we got going on in terms of the depth chart. You guys can see right away that the New Orleans Saints interior offensive lineman can need some help. James Hurst is old. He's getting old and he's getting less effective. Mark Evans II is inexperienced. Nick Saldiveri is a question mark. Landon Young plays left guard. He plays guard and tackle. He's kind of up and down, even though he showed some positive stuff last year. You know what I'm saying? But this is still people that, even though we're adding talent, all I'm doing is, and I know the Saints are going to add some veterans, some cheap veterans during camp. We do this every year, like they had Trey Turner, who was able to pop up and last year, and he got hurt before the season got going. The thing we look at in terms of this, when we talk about this next player, all I can say about this kid, man, is that he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal, talented player for the club. And I think he would make a fantastic pickup. Brandon Coleman is a guy, and his name might sound a little strange to some people, but listen, we're going to get a good one here with 6'4", and a half, 330-pound guy, very versatile player, played guard, played tackle, is a guy that was projected as a guard at the next level. He played tackle at the college level. They project him to be a really solid guard for the black and gold. And why not? If you look at his 40 speed, you can see right here, 4.99 for a big guy that size is pretty good. For a big fella like that, has good footwork. You can look at his bio right here. Look at all of these games here. You see a couple of the community college games, but the games that matter. Look at his starts at what he did in 2020, 4 games at right tackle. 21, he played 11 games, 8 starts, 1 at right guard, and then 1 at left guard. 2022. That was when he went all honorable mention in the Big 12. Started 15 games at the blind side left tackle position. Second team in 2023 started 11 games, 4 at the left guard, and the final 7 at left tackle. So we've had a guy that played right guard, left tackle, and right tackle. You see, so this is a guy that has versatility, that can move around, and he's right on par. They consider him a 3rd-round selection. Has 3 years starting experience. A lot of stuff goes on. Very good in terms of mauling out people. Really good run blocker. Moves his feet pretty well. And then they'll talk about some of the weaknesses of his game. Sometimes he leans a little bit. But outside of that, this is a pretty solid offensive lineman. If you put the tape on and watch Brandon Coleman, you would like his play style. And he's the type of guy that would definitely help you in terms of him playing a lot of college games that he played. You know, we like college players with a lot of experience, and having a Brandon Coleman that we picked up in the draft would be actually a pretty good solid pickup for the black and gold, to be honest with you, to get that guy, man, because listen, it'll be really good for us to land a guy like Brandon Coleman with that pick. So the next pick after I traded that up, I had to move on, and I ended up picking up another player by the name of Johnny Dixon. Now, I picked up a cornerback because, like I said, we need to start looking at the future of the cornerback position. We knew Isaac Yiadom was a guy that we were interested in. Isaac went to San Fran. And then, of course, Marshawn Lattimore is coming off an injury. But we're pretty solid at the cornerback position with our top 3. But it wouldn't hurt the team to be able to start investing in the future and get them a good cornerback. Now, Johnny Dixon, he's listed at 5'11", but some have him at 6 feet tall. Some have him at 6'1" and a half, but he's a solid cornerback for you. He was pretty productive at Penn State. He's a good tackler, played a lot of games there, has a good rough mentality that will fit the Saints style of play. In terms of the secondary, Joe Woods could take this kid and really turn him into a nice, solid reserve cornerback for us. But like they say, even in the overview, they talk about how feisty he is. If you put the tape on about him, it does show up. Missing some key attributes for true success, but he's a fighter. You know, they talk about him having stiff hips and flipping the hips and to stay and all this kind of stuff. But listen, a lot of that could be worked upon. You know, he's a guy that loves to tackle. He's a guy that has a gritty mentality. He's a guy that's feisty. They mentioned the term feisty. He's also physical, and he doesn't back down from a challenge. He also has good size. He has, and he's a guy that will, make plays. But they talk about, does he have the speed to compete in terms of the cornerback position? I'm not going to kick against that. I think based on the tape that I watched on Johnny Dixon playing for Penn State, I like the kid, man. I like the kid. I like his mentality. I like how he attacks the game. I just like his style of play. And I just think that when you look at what we would want to see in the black and gold building as far as the cornerbacks are concerned, I think Johnny Dixon would be a good pickup. I think he would be a good fit for this team. I really do. I think he would be a solid pickup for the Saints. If you did take this guy, he would be a phenomenal signing for this team. So anyway, let's keep it moving, man. I think, like I said, let's look at some of his numbers as you see some of Johnny Dixon's numbers from Penn State over this past season. 20 solo tackles, now altogether 26 total tackles. Had 1 interception, 3 pass defense, but the kid had 4.5 sacks. So that tells you that he doesn't have a problem with going up and blitzing and making plays and to get at the quarterback. 4.5 sacks, and that's just not an oddity. You could see the year before he had 3. So he is showing you he has the ability to go up and go get them now in terms of the interceptions. 3 interceptions over the last couple of years. But like I said, the guy's feisty. He's one of those guys that's versatile enough where you can play him around the line and he'll go up and make plays for you. So Johnny Dixon is a guy I picked up at 150 out of Penn State, man. So I think he would be a good solid pickup for us. All right, moving on to pick 175. Christian Boyd. Now, this is a player that the Saints had an opportunity to scout. He comes from a small college, Northern Iowa, but he is a big talent. 6'3", he's about 6'3", 300 and almost 330 pounds. He had 38 total tackles last year and 2.5 sacks over last year, and the year before just 1 sack. But what you like about Christian Boyd's game is he's a big guy that can not only stuff the run for you, but he's also a guy that also provides a push up the middle. So he's not a big plodding interior defensive lineman who just only thing he does is just hold up the running game or just smush out holes in the interior, the interior of the offensive line. What he does do is he is a guy that's with high motor and he's constantly pushing to make plays. And like I said, he's just a phenomenal young player to have at this pick. So getting him at 175, he does feel the need for the black and gold because it gives you an interior defensive lineman that replaces Malcolm Roach. Because if you think about your interior defensive line, Brian Bresee, eventually you would want Brian Bresee to step into a starting capacity, but you would have guys like Nate Shepard, Colin Saunders already starts, and then behind him, you really need to really focus on it because it's just Jack Heflin, who's untested, and John Pinacini. These are 2 practice squad players who have potential, but Jack Heflin's are really interesting. But having a guy like Christian Boyd to add there is just what the Saints need. Like I said, a guy he can stuff the run, but also provides a push up the interior defensive line. High motor guy, fits exactly what the Saints are doing. So Boyd is a guy that I like a lot. And I think that the Saints would be interested if they scouted this guy, that he should be a guy that the team ultimately looks at picking up, somewhere around that pick. You see what I'm saying? Somewhere around that. All right, so going to 190, the 190th pick in the draft, we're going to go at the safety Sion Vaki. Now, this is a player that comes out of the University of Utah. He's a safety that plays that is a very productive safety who has some range. Some people talk about his speed or whatnot. But what I like about this kid, he's incredibly productive. Had 50 tackles last year total for the team, 2 in a couple of pass defense and 2. He had 2 sacks on a year and an interception. Now, he only had 2 years of collegiate experience there playing. But, this year showed that he had a improvement in terms of when they gave him more time, he was able to make some things pop and happen for Utah. So I really do like him a lot. I think he will be a good guy to pick up for the team, and mostly a potential safety, one of the young safeties we have. We got a lot of safeties, and not a lot, but we have veteran safeties that we have with the team, and we could use another young player to come in and kind of compete. Jonathan Abrams, another guy who's an established NFL veteran. He's on a 1-year deal. Hugo Amadi, they got him situated at the safety position, a bit undersized. Some people believe that he should be more on the cornerback side. Him, and then, of course, JT Gray. And that's your safety. So at some point, the Saints will have to add another young player like they did with Jordan Howden last year, because Sion Vaki be that guy that the Saints add. And he will be probably more than likely taken at that spot where, or taken at that position where a lot of people could guess that, that he will fall at that position. So anyway, if you look at what he's been doing, productive tackler, we talk about that. Like they make mention of, he's a good tackler, solid frame, very powerful. But, like I said, they talk about his athletic ability, very smart player too. And he's a guy that has a propensity to be around the ball. So I like this kid a lot. And I think that he could be a guy from a futuristic standpoint that can come in to help out, because we need to start looking at young safeties in the defense, to be honest with you, to get, become the future of the team. All right. And as we keep it moving, we go to the linebacker, the next player. And with the 199th pick that we have from Ohio State, Tommy Eichenberg. And remember, Wells, what other draft would we have if we didn't take a Ohio State player, right? It's always the tradition is to take a Ohio State player, and I'm just carrying on the tradition. But I like Tommy Eichenberg. Not so much his athletic ability, but he's a football player. The guy's had played a lot of ball. He's uber duper productive, good size for him as well. And like I said, when you look at Tommy Eichenberg, he had 80 total tackles last year. Not much on the sack tip, but if you look at the year before in 2022, the guy had 120 tackles for Ohio State. The year before that, he had 64. In 2022, he had the 2.5 sacks. So the guy is a good football player. To get him at 199 to come in and kind of solidify your linebacker room. And of course, we take a look at some of the linebackers that the Saints have. I mean, who you got? Behind guys like Pete Werner and Demario Davis. Of course, we signed. We signed your guy from Kansas City, Willie Gay. So we did get Willie Gay here as the third linebacker, and then there was some stuff that him saying that he would. That he'll be challenger for a starting job. It was that a knock on Pete Werner. The Saints only start 2 linebackers at a time, unless they planning on going 3 guys in, in terms of playing that status mode. But the Saints have added Kaliki Hudson to it. They still got Monty Rice, the veteran. DeMarco Jackson and him and Anthony Orji. These are young players that we don't know what they're going to do. Nephi Sewell showed that he could play, but has shown more potential than some of these other guys. So what about the Saints adding Tommy Eichenberg to play? Another Ohio State guy that can learn from Pete Werner, that can be added to the fray to kind of keep the competition going in the linebacker room. Like I said, I think he's a talented player, a very productive guy, 120 tackles, like I said, in 2022. The only knock on him, the biggest knock on Tommy Eichenberg is the fact that he's a guy that struggles, kind of limited in terms of his athleticism, but is a football player. If he gets around you, he's going to tackle you and bring you down. Effort is never an issue with this player, and I think he'll be a good player to add to the Saints linebacker room. And, of course, the final selection for the black and gold, the 239th selection, is Joshua Cephas from the University of Texas at San Antonio. That's why we're reaching back to Marcus Davenport's old stomping grounds, but this guy here is a ball player. 6'3", 185-pound wide receiver, has really good speed, and he's super productive. This is a steal right here for the black and gold. This past year, 89 catches, over 1,100 yards. He had 10 touchdowns, and he averaged 13 yards per catch. And then we talk about like the question mark, because this will be my second wide receiver that I've taken, because Xavier Legette was the 45th overall pick for the Saints this upcoming season. And you want to kind of tool up and get these big physical wide receivers, or these wide receivers that can stretch the field for you, that has some size. Well, Joshua Cephas he's 6'3", and he can really fly, you know what I'm saying? And he's productive. Like if we look at his statistics, not just a 1-year wonder, well, I ain't gonna say Xavier Legette's in 1 year, but 1 year of solid production. Prior to that, nowhere even close in terms of Legette. Not the case with Joshua Cephas. He's 89 catches, 1,151 yards, 10 touchdowns this year. Last year, 87 catches, just shy of 1,000 yards. He averaged over 11 yards per catch. He had 6 touchdowns last year, and then they even used him in some regard in reverses and all this kind of stuff for the road runners. In 21, 71 catches for 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, 11 catches. Year before that, 58 catches. You see what I'm saying? 5 touchdowns. So the guy has been productive over the last several years, and each year you can see that his production improved. 58 catches, 71 catches, 87 catches, 89 catches. And it just keeps going up and up. And that's what you want to see when you see a young wide receiver like Joshua Cephas. Now, I know we did add some wide receivers to the room, but listen, none of these guys are surefire bets outside of our top guys like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Cedric Wilson Jr. will operate as the veteran of the bunch. So you can correctly probably assume because of his, I think he got a 2-year deal with us. But Cedric Wilson is a guy that comes here. Those are the top 3, with A.T. Perry being the 4th guy, right? Then you have I hope I'm saying this, Equanimeous St. Brown. He was a veteran that was brought him, never really lived up to his standing in terms of where he got drafted. It's been woefully unproductive during his years here in the NFL. Stanley Morgan is just mostly a special teams player, and those are the guys you have. So I just basically added 2 wide receivers in Joshua Cephas here, and with his size and speed and his ability to catch the ball and just be a playmaker, I think that helps improve the Saints big time. So let's kind of bounce into it and kind of go into and look at this all together so we can kind of get a gauge on, on this mock here. Give me just a second, fam. Let me get that together so I can kind of show you guys exactly what it is. So anyway, what it's hitting for is pretty simple. We got an interesting formula here for the black and gold. And hold on, fam. Give me just a second. Let me put my mock draft up here on the screen here so you can see everything. And this will be my latest mock for the team. And there it is on the screen right there, fam. This is my picks right now for the latest mock draft. Talise Fuaga from Oregon State with the pick to me. And this is my logic. Y'all tell me if y'all agree with me that when I took Talise Fuaga in this mock draft, my intention is to play him at the left tackle position. This is my thought process and taking what the Saints are doing and doing my best to figure it out. You guys tell me if you agree with this. I draft Talise Fuaga. Couldn't get the other guys that I like. The Penn State tackle. I like him a lot. He was drafted 3 picks prior to this pick. Talise Fuaga would be my left tackle. I would then take Trevor Penning and move him to right tackle. You can't guard him up yet because you got to see what's going on with the right tackle position. This is all predicated on the fact that Ryan Ramczyk is not ready for the season. Dennis Allen did allude to say that he wasn't healing like the way he's supposed to, and that's understandable, being back the fact that he was supposed to have a major surgery on the knee, not minor surgery. He did the minor surgery to try to play, and you compile that with a bunch of rest days during we did this last year. Ryan Ramczyk really needs to go see about himself and get that together. But anyway, like I said, Talise Fuaga would be my left tackle. Penning would be tried at the right tackle position. I don't think he'll thrive there. Now, of course, new offensive line coach John Benton will have to get these guys together. The Saints picked up Ali Udoh from Minnesota. Where does Ali Udoh fit, Q? He'll slide to the guard position. I know these a lot of these unofficial depth charts have him at the left tackle position, and rightfully so, but I think he will get the most value out of Ali Udoh at a guard position. So what happens is Talise Fuaga becomes your new left tackle. Ali Udoh becomes your left guard. Hurst slides underneath him as a reserve. Center is McCoy. Right guard's Ruiz. And then right tackle is Penning in case the Ramczyk is not good to go, right? That's what this is. Xavier Legette then goes to the wide receiver position there and compete with Cedric Wilson. I don't think with the second pick, the 44th pick there, you would want him to be a starter there. So you were trying to get Xavier Legette to kind of push guys like Cedric Wilson or, provide depth underneath him because he has kick return application as well. His special team application as well. But he's a big wide receiver with really good solid speed that is productive, got good hands, very physical, tough to bring down. He would be a weapon that you add into your room. And a lot of people really like the kid. And some cops is like they was looking at the kid from the wide receiver from the 49ers. I see some of that in this game, but I won't put that on that kid. But Xavier Legette would definitely wake up your wide receiver room. And then in 121, Brandon Coleman, who basically plays tackle. He played everything, tackle and guard in college, that he'll occupy mostly as a guard position. And if you do need him to slide outside during, when he gets comfortable, he can do that. But Coleman is basically going to be competing with guys like Nick Sell-DeVary and those guys. But like I said, he's a guy that played guard and tackle during his college. You can move him around and he can be what you wanted a guy like James Hurst to be. Eventually, James Hurst, who has 1 year left on his contract, will eventually end up moving and going on somewhere. So that's my thinking on Brandon Coleman. And then, of course, we move on. And like I said, that pick right there, I moved a couple of picks to move up to 121. That's like, how did we get 121? I traded several picks to get 121 to move up to get Brandon Coleman. That's what the little trade marker is there. The little blue symbol is there. 150 is Johnny Dixon, cornerback from Penn State. Very, very solid cornerback, plays with an attitude, has good size. He has decent speed to keep up with wide receivers, is physical, doesn't lack for confidence. He will be a guy that Coach Woods could really help turn into a very solid cornerback. I'm looking at the Saints cornerback room beyond the top three guys that we have. Hugo Amadi, I think, is the fourth cornerback. He's pretty undersized. Johnny Dixon, 6 feet tall, good solid cornerback, could be worked in there from that level, from that fourth level, to kind of solidify that cornerback room. Would be a good pickup for the Saints. 175 is Christian Boyd. Like we talked about, the Saints did scout Christian Boyd for Northern Iowa. He's a guy that is very physical, 6'2", 330-something odd pounds. Looking at him as a grow grade, like run stuffer type dude, but he's really more than that. This is a guy not only stuffs to run, but he also provides a pass rush too, and that's what you want to have when you lose a guy like Malcolm Roach. And if you look at the Saints' interior defensive line, unless they, I'm pretty sure they'll add some more talent there, unless they start switching and moving Tanu Passanio inside where he belongs. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. He should be playing more of an interior situation than anything else when we got a bevy of pass rushers. So hopefully the Saints would start doing that, putting Passanio inside, because we got all these other these pass rushers that's going to need an opportunity to see the field. So a better usage is having Passanio inside. But Christian Boyd helps that. It's definitely the future of the Saints' interior defensive line. Zion Vaki, the safety from Utah. Good size on him, very physical. They talk about his closing speed. Yeah, he doesn't have he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's an intelligent player who makes tackles and makes plays for you. And I'm saying that perhaps the Saints need to start looking at him. There was also another safety on the board, Lofton, I was looking at, that I like a lot. Proctor, I think from out of Ohio State, was on the board as well. But I mean, no, he was off the board, but he was the one I was thinking about too. But Vaki's a really good guy to fall at 190. Could be like we had with Jordan Howden. The future of the safety position, we need younger guys in the draft to be there. Jordan Howden was a good hit for us. Outside of that, we got guys like Jonathan Abrams on a 1-year contract. We got two older, we got players that are getting older at the safety position. We need to see if we can solidify it with young safeties, and there are a ton of good safeties in this draft. 199, 9 picks later, Tommy Eichenberg out of linebacker from Ohio State. He was a guy that really stepped up and showed a lot of positive stuff in his productive years. He had 120 tackles the year before last, not so much this year, but he has about several years of very high production from Ohio State. He's a guy that is a ball player. He's a football player. He makes the tackles. He's very smart in what he's reading. His athletic ability in certain instances could be problematic, like he's covering guys, that could be an issue. But he's a guy that can help you out on the special teams, and he can provide good depth behind some of these young linebackers we have now. So anyway, and then the final pick, 239 for the Saints. Josh Cephas is probably my favorite pick in terms of the diamond in the rough type players. He's a wide receiver from UTSA. Cephas is a guy listen, this kid will be phenomenal. 6'3", 190 plus pounds, very productive in college, had a lot of good stuff going. His numbers climbed every year, 58, 71, 87, 89. I'm talking about catches per year. Touchdowns, had 10 touchdowns last year, over 1,100 yards, averaged 13 yards. Prior to that, he was averaging over 11 yards per catch per year. So, I mean, the guy's phenomenal. Getting him with a 239 pick and then add him in Xavier Legette to your wide receiver room, wakes it up a bit, gives them speed and skill on top of what you got. So anyway, that's what I got today, family, on this mock draft show. I just wanted to kind of share some game with you on it on my latest mock. But listen, fam, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop back here on Tuesday, Patreon Tuesday. We're going to go over the Saints news and notes. I got another mock I'm going to share with the family members. We're going to go over prospects. We're also going to have a prospect show. We kind of break down each individual prospect. We'll do that tomorrow on our TIC stream, and we'll get ready for the draft even further, because a lot of quarterbacks are out there. I know the Saints ain't looking at quarterbacks, but we can get familiar with some of these players or who we got to be looking at as we getting closer and closer to the draft. Like it's being soon, fam. Like next week is the draft. So we getting close, and it's very exciting, man, because it's time, man. It's time. So anyway, with that being said, I'm getting ready to get on that. Listen, I appreciate each and every last one of y'all chiming on this episode of the show. Much love. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Y'all tell me in the comment section how y'all feel about some of the picks that I talked about today. Who are some of you guys' favorite picks that you think the Saints should look at in the draft next week? Let me know in the comment section. With that being said, man, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, and I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Much love, and who that to you, baby.
Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 huh? Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.